Imagine the moment when sound begins to fade, not because your hearing stops, but because the world itself seems to withdraw, leaving you in a hush so complete that your own heartbeat becomes the only rhythm that remains. You are lying in a shallow pool of warm, dense water, dense enough to lift you without effort, warm enough to match the temperature of your skin. There are no ripples, no currents, no breeze. The air around you is perfectly still. And in that stillness, something begins to change. This is floatation-REST, reduced environmental stimulation therapy, a practice born from scientific curiosity and carried forward by decades of research into the nature of the human mind and body. It is not merely relaxation. It is a controlled reduction of sensory input, a deliberate quieting of light, sound, and gravity, so the brain can rest in a way that waking life rarely allows. Every second, the brain is flooded with data, signals from the eyes, ears, skin, muscles, joints, organs, and internal sensors. Billions of bits per moment, a continuous storm of sensation. But when you enter the float tank, that storm subsides. The lights go dark. The sounds fall silent. The water supports your body so completely that your muscles no longer need to hold you upright. For the first time in days, maybe in weeks, your nervous system has almost nothing to do. To a neuroscientist, this environment is a kind of living experiment, a test of what happens when the brain's usual input channels are turned down to nearly zero, and the results are extraordinary. The water inside a float tank contains around 500 to 600 kilograms of Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate, dissolved in less than half a cubic meter of water. That concentration, far denser than seawater, creates a buoyant force strong enough to hold an adult human completely on the surface. Archimedes described it millennia ago, but here the physics becomes intimate. Buoyancy equalizes the forces along your body. Joints decompress, spine elongates fractionally, muscles that usually fight gravity begin to unclench. Meanwhile, the magnesium ions in the water are absorbed in small amounts through the skin, a process still debated, but one many float researchers believe contributes to muscle relaxation and improved cellular metabolism. The air and water are both kept at roughly 34.8 degrees Celsius, the temperature of neutral skin. Because of this equilibrium, the boundary between body and water fades. You can no longer tell where the skin ends and the fluid begins. It feels, as many describe it, like floating in warm air or drifting in the void of space. When external sensation fades, internal perception grows louder. You might notice the slow pulse in your wrists, the distant thump of your heart, the rhythmic swell of each breath. Even the peristaltic motion of digestion can become a soft internal music. This heightened interoception, awareness of inner bodily states, is one of the earliest measurable effects of floatation-REST. EEG studies show that within minutes of entering the tank, alpha and theta brainwave frequencies begin to rise, patterns associated with meditative calm and early dream states. In these rhythms, time itself loosens, minutes stretch, thoughts drift more slowly. The body's stress response begins to reverse. Heart rate decreases, blood pressure falls, cortisol levels start to drop. The science of stress tells us that such shifts correspond to activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's built-in recovery mode. In flotation, this mode becomes dominant. At first, the mind may resist. Accustomed to constant stimulus, it reaches for sounds or light that are no longer there. But gradually it adapts. the absence of reference points, disorients the senses just enough to create a new kind of equilibrium, one in which stillness itself feels like motion. Some describe gentle rotations, as though the body were turning slowly in space. Others feel expansion, a sense that their form extends beyond the tank. These are normal sensory illusions, born from the brain's attempt to map an environment that provides no anchors. Researchers call this perceptual recalibration. It's a temporary rebalancing of sensory weighting, a way for the nervous system to maintain coherence in an environment of near-zero input. And while it may sound abstract, it is profoundly physical. The vestibular system in the inner ear, which normally tracks gravity and motion, finds itself idle. It signals quiet. The result is a profound sense of drift. Not falling, not rising, just existing in suspension. Floatation-REST began as an experiment to explore consciousness itself. But long before we had the language of neuroscience, humans had sought silence. Monks in caves, divers in deep water, dreamers gazing into the night sky. Silence has always been a doorway into reflection. In modern flotation therapy, that doorway is built with science, temperature regulation, soundproofing, precise salinity, but the purpose remains ancient: to listen inwardly. The psychologist's instruments may measure heart rate variability, galvanic skin response, or EEG coherence, yet what the floater feels is far simpler, a rare and gentle quiet. And now, imagine yourself there. The lid of the tank closes softly. Darkness surrounds you, not the darkness of night, but of complete sensory rest. Your ears adjust. The hum of the world vanishes. There is only the faint whisper of breath. With each exhale, you sink, not downward, but inward, toward stillness. Thoughts become like bubbles rising through water, popping gently at the surface and disappearing into calm. The mind does not stop. It slows, and in slowing, it begins to rest. As the first session ends, the light comes back, soft, amber. The floater opens the lid, rinses away the salt, and steps out into ordinary air. But something subtle lingers. The sensory world feels brighter, sounds sharper yet gentler, the body lighter. This after effect is more than imagination. Studies show increased dopamine and endorphin levels, improved mood, and reduced anxiety, lasting for hours or even days. The float tank does not remove the world. It recalibrates how we perceive it. And as the nervous system learns that safety can exist in stillness, the body remembers. Flotation-REST is, at its core, a science of balance, between presence and absence, between activity and surrender. It is an invitation to experience what happens when everything unnecessary is gently set aside. And in that simplicity, many find not emptiness, but restoration. Close your eyes again. Imagine the surface of water perfectly still. No ripples, no current, only the faint shimmer of dissolved salt, holding your body in balance. It feels simple, effortless, but behind that stillness lies a quiet architecture of science. Fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, neurochemistry. Every float tank is a small laboratory, built to balance the body's most subtle parameters. The first secret of floating is density. Ordinary freshwater can't support a human body completely. But when you dissolve vast amounts of magnesium sulfate, Epsom salt, the water becomes hyperdense. Let's imagine the math. A typical float solution has a specific gravity of about 1.25, meaning it's 1.25 times denser than pure water. At that density, Archimedes' principle ensures that the upward buoyant force equals your entire body weight. So your spine elongates by up to 2 centimeters. The small muscles that stabilize the neck and hips finally stop firing. The constant tug of gravity that shapes posture, that strains connective tissue all day long, is neutralized. This absence of gravitational demand triggers a series of neuromuscular reflexes. The Golgi tendon organs signal release. Muscle spindle fibers reduce tone. The body slides into parasympathetic dominance. Physically, you are not doing anything. But physiologically, thousands of micro-adjustments are being undone at once. To deepen the illusion of weightlessness, the water is kept at skin-neutral temperature, around 34.8 degrees Celsius. It's not warm or cool. It's exactly you. If the temperature were even 1 degree higher or lower, you'd feel the boundary. But when it matches perfectly, thermal receptors in the skin fall silent. You stop perceiving where body ends and water begins. In that moment, you become an isothermal organism, suspended in equilibrium with your surroundings. This thermodynamic neutrality saves the brain from processing billions of sensory impulses. It's like turning down the gain on a noisy amplifier until only the signal of thought remains. Light and sound are reduced almost to zero. The walls of the float chamber are lined with acoustic foam and polymer insulation that attenuate external noise by more than 40 decibels. Inside, it is quieter than most recording studios. When auditory input fades, the brain's auditory cortex begins to reorganize itself. Neuroscientists call this temporary cortical remapping. It's the same process that occurs when blindfolded participants develop heightened hearing sensitivity. Here in the tank, that sensitivity turns inward. You may start to hear internal sounds, the vascular pulse, the creak of joints, the subtle movement of breath. The darkness is not simply absence. It's uniformity, a complete lack of visual contrast that leads the occipital cortex to shift from visual processing to imaginative imagery. In this space, dreamlike visuals can appear spontaneously. Patterns, color fields, slow geometries. They are harmless and fleeting, the brain painting on its own canvas. In 1954, neuroscientist John C. Lilly proposed the concept of reduced environmental stimulation. He wondered, if you removed almost all sensory input, would the brain fall asleep, or would consciousness continue independently? To test it, he created early isolation tanks, filled with body temperature water. Subjects floated in darkness for hours. What he found astonished him. Instead of shutting down, the brain began to generate spontaneous organization, vivid imagery, deep calm, creative insight. It was as though, freed from external tasks, the mind turned inward to explore itself. Modern studies using EEG and functional MRI confirm that flotation-REST reduces activity. In the default mode network, DMN, the set of brain regions responsible for self-referential thought and mental chatter. When the DMN quiets, the boundary between self and environment softens. You begin to feel not isolated, but integrated, pattern among patterns. Let's pause here and unfold the state into smaller pieces of knowing, gentle fragments of fact, each one floating on its own surface. Fact 1 asterisk within 5 minutes of entering the tank. Muscle electrical activity, measured by EMG, drops by nearly 20%. Fact 2 * blood lactate levels, a marker of physical stress, decline measurably after a single 45-minute float. Fact 3 * the skin's barrier function improves. Humidity and magnesium saturation support microcirculation and hydration. Fact 4 * cortisol, the hormone of vigilance, decreases by up to 30% after repeated sessions. Fact 5 * dopamine and endorphins, neurochemicals linked with pleasure and motivation, increase, producing mild euphoria. Fact 6 * EEG coherence between hemispheres rises, indicating balanced neural communication. Fact 7 * the heart's variability, HRV, expands, a sign of parasympathetic resilience. Fact 8 * subjective pain scores in chronic pain patients often drop by half after a course of sessions. Each of these facts is a small light glimmering in the dark water. Together, they form the quiet constellation of what we call restoration. A human brain consumes about 20% of the body's energy, even at rest. Much of that power feeds the processing of sensory input: vision, hearing, proprioception. When the environment falls silent, that energy has nowhere to go. Metabolic demand drops. Cerebral blood flow redistributes from the sensory cortices toward deeper structures involved in introspection and memory. It's as if a city turned off its streetlights so the stars could be seen again. The reduction in sensory load does not lead to boredom. It leads to efficiency. Neurons synchronize. Brainwave amplitudes stabilize. The organism begins to operate at its lowest sustainable energy state, like an idling engine, silent but alive. Physiology mirrors psychology. As sympathetic arousal declines, the adrenal glands release less cortisol and adrenaline. In response, the parasympathetic branch stimulates acetylcholine pathways that slow heart rate and promote digestion. Meanwhile, the hypothalamus signals the release of endorphins, the body's natural opiates, creating sensations of warmth and mild bliss. Some researchers describe this as entering a hypnagogic state, a threshold between waking and sleep, where insight often arises. Artists, scientists, and athletes report enhanced creativity and problem-solving after floating, perhaps because the mind, freed from noise, can recombine ideas more freely. Think of consciousness as a lake, disturbed by constant wind. Each gust is a sensory event, a notification, a conversation, a passing car. The surface ripples endlessly, and in the movement, we can no longer see the reflection of the sky. When you enter the float tank, the wind ceases, the water stills. Slowly, the ripples fade. At first, sediments of thought rise, memories, worries, half-dreams. But then they settle, and the surface clears. What returns is not emptiness, but clarity, the ability to see depth again. This metaphor, though poetic, maps closely onto neural activity. When sensory noise decreases, the brain's spontaneous oscillations fall into smoother coherence, like ripples synchronizing on a calm pond. Imagine walking out of a crowded street into a quiet library. The contrast feels immense. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows without effort. Floatation-REST amplifies that contrast 100-fold. It's as if every external signal, light, motion, sound, has been muted. The nervous system, sensing safety in this predictable environment, disengages its defensive circuits. The amygdala, center of threat detection, reduces firing. The prefrontal cortex, which manages planning and stress appraisal, rebalances. The entire organism recognizes perhaps for the first time in days, that nothing is required of it. And now, allow this image to linger. You are lying upon that dense water, your body unmoving, your breath the only motion left. The air is warm and still. Salt crystals glimmer invisibly beneath you, holding you aloft. Each heartbeat echoes faintly in your ears, as though the world itself were listening. No need to act, no need to think. Simply float, as every atom in your body returns to equilibrium. Let the muscles remember what it feels like to let go. Let the brain, that tireless instrument of survival, rest for a moment in pure quiet. Drift here, between gravity and grace, where science meets serenity. Every science begins with a question. For Floatation-REST, that question was simple and yet deeply unsettling. What happens to the mind when the world around it disappears? In the early 1950s, the field of neuroscience was still young. Researchers understood electrical impulses, synaptic signaling, but consciousness itself remained mysterious. Dr. John Cunningham Lilly, a physician, neuroscientist, and psychoanalyst, was working at the National Institute of Mental Health in Maryland. He wondered whether consciousness was dependent on sensory input, or whether the mind could sustain awareness in complete isolation. The popular theory of the time suggested that without stimulation, a person would quickly lose consciousness or hallucinate. The brain, scientists thought, was like a machine that needed constant data to keep its circuits alive. Lilly disagreed. He believed the mind was a self-organizing system, capable of generating its own experiences, without external input. To test this, he built a chamber unlike anything before it, a dark, silent tank, filled with warm, saline water. Thus, the first isolation tank was born. In 1954, the first subject stepped into Lilly's tank, wearing a breathing mask connected to air hoses. They floated motionless in darkness, cut off from sight, sound, and touch. Observers expected panic or disorientation. Instead, the subject reported calm clarity and a sense of timeless drift. Lilly's notebooks describe hours of floating, not in confusion, but in expanding awareness. The mind, he wrote, does not depend on the senses for existence. It persists, it dreams, it creates. These words would become the philosophical foundation of the entire field of restricted environmental stimulation therapy, or REST. At first, the scientific community was skeptical. Some dismissed the results as mere relaxation. Others feared sensory deprivation could cause psychosis. Indeed, parallel studies conducted by Donald Hebb at McGill University exposed participants to lightless rooms, without movement or sound. Within hours, they became anxious, disoriented, and hallucinated. But Lilly's approach was different. His tanks were not harsh deprivation cells. They were carefully balanced environments of comfort and safety. The water's warmth and buoyancy prevented discomfort. Participants were free to end sessions at any time. Rather than deprivation, Lilly emphasized reduction, a subtle but crucial distinction. The goal was not to strip away reality, but to lower its volume until the mind could hear itself think. Through the 1960s, Lilly continued his experiments, sometimes blending scientific observation with philosophical exploration. He wrote about the mind as a biocomputer capable of reprogramming itself through isolation and meditation. In those years, his work became entwined with countercultural movements. writers, psychologists, and spiritual seekers began to view the float tank as a tool for inner exploration, a technological version of ancient introspection. The line between research and mysticism blurred. But even amidst controversy, data began to accumulate. Subjects reported improved focus, reduced anxiety, and deep physical calm. The seeds of modern flotation-REST were quietly germinating. By the 1970s, interest in rest shifted from philosophy to physiology. Researchers like Peter Sudfeld and Roderick Bory at the University of British Columbia sought to quantify its effects on stress, pain, and learning. They introduced structured protocols, controlled water temperature, timed sessions, psychological assessments before and after floating. Results were striking. Participants showed lowered blood pressure, faster reaction time recovery after stress, and improved memory recall. The work of Sudfeld and his colleagues transformed rest from a fringe curiosity into a credible therapeutic technique. By standardizing conditions, they distinguished flotation-REST from floating in water, from chamber rest, sitting or lying in a soundproof room. Both reduced stimulation, but the flotation method proved superior for inducing relaxation and physiological change. Let's unfold the historical timeline into gentle fragments, small data points floating like islands in time. Fact 1 *, 1954, John C. Lilly conducts the first float experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. Fact 2 *, 1956, Lilly presents findings at the Washington School of Psychiatry, introducing the term isolation tank. Fact 3 *, 1964, Lilly establishes the Communication Research Institute, developing public prototypes of float tanks. Fact 4 *, 1972, Peter Sudfeld begins rest research at UBC, applying psychological metrics to floating. Fact 5 *, 1977, the first published rest conference formalizes methodologies and safety standards. Fact 6 *, 1981, studies report decreased blood pressure and reduced pain in tension headache patients. Fact 7 *, 1984, rest is shown to accelerate recovery in athletes following intense training. Fact 8 *, 1985, commercial float centers begin opening in Europe and the US, marking the start of public access. Each point a small ripple. Together they chart the slow rise of a discipline born from silence. In the 1980s, floating began to leave the laboratory. Commercial float centers opened in Los Angeles, London, and Stockholm. For the first time, ordinary people could step into the experience that once belonged only to researchers and their volunteers. The tanks evolved. Fiberglass shells replaced metal chambers. Epsom salt replaced plain saline. Filters and thermostats automated the process. A new vocabulary emerged: flotation therapy, sensory isolation, rest sessions, each describing the same quiet miracle: buoyancy, warmth, darkness, and stillness. But scientific work continued. Psychologists began to study not just relaxation, but the mechanisms behind it. They discovered that floating reduced activation in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the body's primary stress system. It was a measurable physiological reset. For many, that discovery marked the moment when flotation-REST ceased to be an odd experiment and became a legitimate therapeutic modality. By the 1990s, however, the trend waned. Many float centers closed. Public interest drifted toward other wellness practices. Yoga, meditation, aromatherapy. The float tank seemed like a relic of a curious past. And yet, in university labs, the science continued quietly. Small studies in Sweden, Australia, and the US kept revealing the same pattern. Floating reduced stress hormones, improved mood, and enhanced recovery from fatigue. Then, around the early 2000s, the technology itself improved. Better water filtration, automatic sanitation, and soundproof design made floating easier, safer, more hygienic. Athletes began to take notice. So did neuroscientists, studying the physiology of stress and sleep. The float tank had returned, refined, modern, and scientifically validated. Today, flotation-REST is no longer experimental. It's a recognized practice, with peer-reviewed evidence across psychology, neuroscience, and sports medicine. A 2018 study by Feinstein et al. Used MRI-compatible float environments to measure brain activity during sessions. They found decreased activity in the insula, anterior cingulate cortex, and amygdala, areas tied to anxiety and interoception. Participants reported a deep sense of safety and reduced body boundaries, mirroring Lilly's earliest observations. Over half a century earlier, the continuity is poetic. From the crude steel chambers of the 1950s to the serene spa pods of today, the essence remains unchanged: to create stillness so the brain can rediscover equilibrium. Flotation-REST has also entered clinical psychology as an adjunct therapy for anxiety, PTSD, and chronic pain. Some hospitals and veterans programs now integrate float sessions into stress management protocols. The science has circled back to where Lilly began, not to escape the mind, but to understand it. Picture the world in the mid-century, the hum of machines, the birth of neuroscience, the early computers flickering with thought. And amid that technological storm, a man closes his eyes and floats in darkness. No sound, no gravity, only the faint echo of a heartbeat and the endless rhythm of breath. In that still chamber, he glimpses something timeless, the realization that rest is not the absence of activity, but the return to balance. Decades pass, and the world grows louder, but the tank remains unchanged, a quiet capsule of equilibrium, waiting for anyone who wishes to remember what stillness feels like. From the first isolation chambers to contemporary float spas, the thread of scientific curiosity continues. Each generation of researchers adds precision to the art: refined temperature control, neuroimaging analysis, psychological profiling, and each generation of users discovers the same inner truth: that silence is not empty, but full of subtle sensations, memories, dreams, and the quiet rhythms of the body. The history of flotation-REST is thus both technological and human. It charts the evolution of how we measure and how we feel. In every era, the purpose of flotation-REST has been the same: to return the mind to baseline, to homeostasis. From Lilly's prototypes to today's precision tanks, the science has matured, but the essence is identical. Floating reminds the organism of what it once knew instinctively: that safety can exist in stillness. As data accumulates, we no longer speak of deprivation. We speak of restoration, integration, recovery. Flotation-REST has become the science of returning. The light dims, the door closes, and suddenly there is only you, the warm weight of your body, the breath that moves through it, and the silent water holding you afloat. The first moments in the tank are moments of orientation. The skin registers warmth and wetness. The ears fill with the soft hum of still water. Then, one by one, each sensory channel begins to quiet. This is the adaptation phase, the body's slow recalibration to minimal input. Heart rate slows, respiration stabilizes, brainwave activity transitions from fast beta rhythms of alertness toward alpha and theta frequencies, the waves of meditative calm and early sleep. It is not immediate. The mind, still tuned to the outside world, reaches for anchors that are no longer there. You may twitch slightly, searching for orientation, a reflex of the vestibular system, and used to total stillness. But as minutes pass, equilibrium settles in. The nervous system learns that this absence is safe, and slowly, it begins to let go. Sound behaves strangely in the float tank. Because the water and air share nearly the same temperature, there is no convection, no acoustic turbulence. Vibrations dissipate almost instantly. The result is not merely quiet, but total acoustic stillness. Inside the ear canal, pressure equalizes. The brain, expecting sound, turns up the internal gain. And that's when you begin to hear the internal orchestra, a soft percussion of heartbeat, the slow bellows of breath, the occasional crack of joints adjusting. These are the sounds of interoception, the body's own data stream. In ordinary life, it is masked by external noise, but here it becomes foreground. Neuroscientists studying flotation call this amplified internal signal awareness. It allows subjects to tune into physiological processes, usually outside conscious notice. Over time, the rhythm of heartbeat and breath begins to synchronize, pattern known as cardiorespiratory coupling. When the two align, the vagus nerve, the great conduit of calm, signals the brain to deepen relaxation further. You are now entering the parasympathetic dominance phase, where the body repairs and the mind softens. To float is to be relieved of duty. For every waking hour of your life, muscles have fought gravity, tiny contractions in the neck, the shoulders, the hips, all balancing against the pull of earth. In the tank, those tensions dissolve. Buoyancy neutralizes weight, the proprioceptive feedback loop, the system by which the brain maps body position, goes nearly silent. Without this input, the somatosensory cortex quiets. The brain's map of the body becomes diffuse. You begin to feel borderless, as if you extend beyond your skin. This phenomenon is called perceptual drift. It's not an illusion or hallucination, but a real recalibration of the body's internal coordinate system. MRI studies of flotation show decreased activation in the posterior parietal cortex, the region responsible for spatial awareness and body boundaries. When that region rests, the brain's sense of self merges gently with its surroundings. The distinction between me and not me grows porous like ink diffusing in water. As the session continues, chemical balances begin to shift. Cortisol production slows, replaced by waves of endorphins and anandamide, neurotransmitters linked to pleasure and tranquility. In this chemical bath, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, lowers its activity. The prefrontal cortex, usually busy narrating and planning, finds less to say. What remains is the limbic harmony, a synchronized conversation between emotional and bodily states. People describe this moment as melting, dissolving, or becoming liquid. It is the biochemical mirror of psychological surrender. In measured terms, Skin conductance, a proxy for sympathetic arousal, declines significantly, and heart rate variability increases, both signs of deep rest. To the researcher, it's data. To the floater, it's release. Let's scatter the scientific observations. Like droplets on still water, each one a glimpse of what the body is doing beneath the quiet surface. Fact 1 * within 10 minutes, alpha waves increase by 50%, marking transition into meditative relaxation. Fact 2 * skin temperature equalization reduces thermoreceptor signaling by 90%. Fact 3 * buoyancy reduces spinal load by 80%, allowing intervertebral discs to rehydrate slightly. Fact 4 * blood flow redistributes toward the brain and core, enhancing oxygen delivery to neural tissue. Fact 5 * muscle tone drops so low that some floaters display minor limb drift, a slow, gentle rotation due to water currents. Fact 6 * parasympathetic nerve activity, measured through vagal tone, increases steadily through the session. Fact 7 * levels of noradrenaline, the vigilance chemical, decline, reducing mental hyperarousal. Fact 8 * subjective reports show loss of time perception between 25 to 40 minutes in. Fact 9 * pain threshold rises measurably, linked to endorphin release and reduced tension. Fact 10 * post-float EEG patterns resemble those seen in early-stage deep sleep, but with preserved awareness, a unique, restful consciousness. Each fact is a whisper of evidence, a biological signature of stillness. Inside the tank, the ordinary architecture of time unravels. There are no windows, no references, no movement of light to mark minutes. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the brain's internal clock, receives no daylight cues. Without them, subjective time perception expands and contracts freely. Most floaters report either a sense that time has stopped altogether, or that entire hours pass in what feels like moments. This distortion arises from the brain's reliance on sensory events to measure duration. When those events vanish, the mind floats in a timeless sea. The effect is gentle, not disorienting, a soft decoupling from the clockwork of daily life. And when you eventually open the tank, the world outside feels subtly renewed, as though time itself had reset. With sensory input reduced, the visual cortex does not simply go dark. It begins to generate patterns. Slowly, faint shapes appear behind closed eyes, clouds of color, fractals, waves of light. Sometimes scenes emerge, faces, landscapes, fragments of dream. These are called phosphenes, spontaneous visual phenomena, produced by the brain's intrinsic electrical activity. In the tank, the absence of real visual input allows these internal signals to bloom. For some, they become meditative anchors, a gentle theater of the mind. For others, they drift by unnoticed, like reflections on a river. Neuroscientists view this as the default mode network's creative output, the brain exploring itself. When freed from external tasks, this inward imagery is one reason many describe floating as a form of waking dream. At the midpoint of a float session, the boundary between waking and sleeping can blur. Theta rhythms, the slow waves of early sleep and deep meditation, become dominant. Consciousness thins, but does not vanish. You may find yourself half dreaming, seeing memories, hearing voices, feeling movements that do not occur. This state is called hypnagogia, a transitional phase where the brain integrates memories, releases emotional residues, and allows insight to arise spontaneously. In flotation, hypnagogia is frequent yet peaceful. Unlike ordinary dreaming, it occurs with awareness intact. You observe your thoughts, without clinging to them, like watching clouds drift through water. Many report creative ideas surfacing here, connections once hidden, revealed effortlessly. As the body relaxes fully, the mind begins to explore its own terrain. Therapists who study flotation-REST note parallels with mindfulness meditation and certain forms of neurofeedback. The sensory silence creates an environment ideal for metacognitive awareness, the ability to observe thoughts without reacting to them. In this setting, cognitive loops unwind, ruminations lose momentum, emotional patterns reveal their outlines, but without sting. It is not escapism, it is observation in its purest form. And in this clarity, many experience spontaneous emotional release, a sigh, a tear, a sudden warmth, moments where the nervous system lets go of what it has been holding unconsciously. Such phenomena are subtle, but well documented. In clinical contexts, they correlate with reductions in anxiety and depression scores. After several sessions, small truths gently floating. Fact 1 *, the default mode network shows reduced connectivity, especially between the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate, regions tied to self-referential thought. Fact 2 *, the insula, responsible for internal bodily awareness, displays altered activity linked to relaxed interoception. Fact 3 * subjective reports of anxiety reduction correlate strongly with this insular modulation. Fact 4 * endocrine changes include lower cortisol and modest increases in prolactin, a hormone linked to nurturing calm. Fact 5 * flotation sessions induce brain states comparable to deep meditation practitioners with 10,000+ hours experience. Fact 6 * pain reduction during floating has been tied to reduced somatosensory activation, not merely suggestion. Fact 7 * post-float surveys show increased scores in creativity and visual imagination tests. Each of these findings is a quiet signal from the nervous system confirming what the body already feels, that rest is an active biological process, not a void. And now, let the scene unfold again. You drift in darkness, suspended between gravity and air. Every muscle is quiet. Every breath expands softly, then dissolves back into stillness. The body, once heavy, has forgotten weight. The mind, once crowded, has forgotten urgency. In this space, there is no top or bottom, no before or after. You are a point of awareness, floating in the gentle field of your own existence. Thoughts rise and fall, like slow waves meeting the shore. Time passes, or perhaps it doesn't. There is only calm, measurable, observable, and deeply human. And within that calm, the science of rest becomes the art of being. When the session ends, you rinse the salt away and step back into ordinary gravity. Yet something inside has shifted. The skin tingles. The air feels heavier. The lights brighter. Sounds sharper but less intrusive. This is not illusion. It is the physiology of recovery beginning its slow unfolding. Researchers call it the post-float window, roughly the 2 hours following immersion when neurochemical and endocrine balance continue to drift toward homeostasis. Cortisol remains low, serotonin stays elevated, heart rate variability is expanded. It is as though the body remembers the environment of stillness and tries to preserve it. Chronic stress is chemistry, a cascade of catecholamines and glucocorticoids. Adrenal glands release adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. The heart accelerates, muscles tighten, digestion pauses. It is a beautiful system meant for survival but not for permanence. Floatation-REST interrupts this cascade through the hypothalamic, pituitary adrenal axis. When sensory input drops and parasympathetic tone rises, the hypothalamus reduces CRH output. The pituitary slows ACTH release, and adrenal cortisol production falls. In blood samples, reductions appear within 20 to 30 minutes. The subjective result is the feeling people describe simply as peace. But beneath that peace is a measurable biochemical retuning. The body moves from defense to repair. Without gravity's constant demand, peripheral blood vessels dilate slightly. Skin temperature equalizes, capillary flow improves, and blood redistributes toward the trunk and brain. This central pooling increases cerebral oxygenation by several percent. A small shift that the nervous system perceives as deep refreshment. Heart rate variability rises, a marker of vagal health and emotional resilience. The sinus node, guided by the vagus nerve, begins to oscillate in elegant patterns. Cardiologists studying floaters have called this the signature of equilibrium. Stress hormones suppress immune activity. Rest restores it. Repeated float sessions increase natural killer cell counts and normalize cytokine ratios, reducing low-grade inflammation associated with chronic stress. In one Swedish study, participants who floated weekly for 6 weeks showed lowered IL-6 and TNF-alpha, chemical signals of inflammation. They also reported fewer colds and improved sleep. No magic, only balance. When the body ceases to fight the invisible, it can heal the visible. Let these data points drift by like luminous plankton. Fact 1: cortisol decreases 21 to 30% after a single 45-minute float. Fact 2: endorphins rise 15%, measured via plasma beta endorphin. Fact 3: blood pressure drops an average of 10 millimeters of mercury systolic. Fact 4: sleep latency shortens by up to 25% the night after floating. Fact 5: muscle soreness markers, CK levels, fall faster post-exercise when float sessions follow training. Fact 6: HRV amplitude increases, indicating vagal dominance. Fact 7: salivary alpha amylase, another stress marker, declines significantly. Fact 8: subjective pain scores drop by 40 to 60% in fibromyalgia trials. Fact 9: after 10 sessions, overall mood improvement equals that of mild antidepressant response. Each metric a small whisper of proof that rest is not idleness, it is regulation rediscovered. Step into a modern sports science facility. Amid treadmills and motion sensors sits a silent white pod. Athletes enter it not for mysticism but for recovery kinetics. After intense exertion, microtrauma in muscle fibers releases prostaglandins and cytokines that cause soreness. Flotation accelerates clearance of these metabolites through improved circulation and reduced sympathetic tone. Studies at Karlstad University and Texas A&M show 20 to 30% faster restoration of power output after floating compared with passive rest. Psychologically, it restores focus. With external pressure removed, the athlete's mind re-enters alpha, theta balance, the zone between readiness and relaxation, optimal for learning and precision. Pain is not purely a signal from tissue. It is an interpretation by the nervous system. When attention quiets, the interpretation changes. Flotation modulates somatosensory gating, reducing the salience of incoming nociceptive signals. fMRI scans show decreased activity in the primary somatosensory cortex and increased coherence in orbitofrontal regions linked with reappraisal. Patients with chronic pain often report the first moments of relief inside the tank. a relief that persists beyond the session. This phenomenon has been termed rest-induced analgesia. Distinct from placebo, its magnitude correlates with physiological indicators, not with expectation scores. Pain, like stress, dissolves not by force but by quiet calibration. When vigilance drops, imagination rises. Alpha, theta dominance increases associative processing, allowing the brain to connect distant ideas. Psychologists have replicated classic creativity tests, before and after floating. Scores on divergent thinking tasks, alternate uses, problem flexibility, visual pattern completion improve significantly. This is the incubation effect of rest. Ideas long stored in the subconscious surface when attention ceases its grip. Many artists, engineers, and composers use flotation as a tool for ideation, not because it shows visions, but because it restores the mental silence, in which patterns can be heard again. Beyond muscles and thoughts lies mood. The limbic system, that deep circuitry of feeling, responds directly to sensory safety. When darkness, warmth, and stillness combine, the amygdala quiets, the insula calms, and the prefrontal cortex regains regulatory control. Clinical trials at Laureate Institute for Brain Research demonstrate significant reductions in anxiety and depression scores. After a series of floats, participants describe lightness, spaciousness, relief from inner noise. What therapy does through conversation, the tank does through physiology. It removes threat, and the psyche follows. Fact 1 * trait anxiety decreases an average of 25% after 6 sessions. Fact 2 * state anxiety, the immediate stress response, falls nearly 50%. Fact 3 * mood elevation lasts up to 48 hours post-float. Fact 4 * PTSD patients show improved sleep efficiency and reduced hypervigilance. Fact 5 * meditation novices reach theta-dominant EEG states equivalent to trained practitioners after repeated floats. Fact 6 * self-reported mindfulness scores increase in both meditators and non-meditators. Fact 7 * subjects report enhanced empathy and prosocial mood, perhaps via oxytocin release. Each observation a data thread, weaving a quiet proof that the nervous system remembers peace when given the chance. Beyond cortisol and endorphins lies a subtler chemistry. Floating adjusts dopamine and serotonin ratios, supporting stable mood without agitation. Prolactin rises modestly, the hormone associated with parental calm and introspection. Growth hormone pulses increase, aiding tissue repair. Even melatonin, the messenger of night, shows enhanced evening release after daytime floats, suggesting circadian realignment. This hormonal ensemble turns rest into restoration at every scale. Near the end of a float, awareness often sharpens again. Alpha replaces theta. Thought returns, but slower, gentler. Psychologists term this the integration phase, when insights or emotional realizations surface. Many record vivid recollections, sudden clarity, or simply gratitude. Neurologically, the default mode network re-engages, but with reduced noise, a cleaner pattern, less self-talk. Connectivity between the DMN and executive control network improves, reflecting balanced introspection and action. It is the mind rehearsing how to re-enter the world, carrying stillness within it. Flotation is not unique in producing parasympathetic dominance. Sleep, meditation, and gentle immersion can too, but floating unites them. Muscular release of sleep, alert calm of meditation, and sensory isolation of deep immersion. It is a complete circuit of rest, activating recovery at mechanical, chemical, and neural levels simultaneously. Scientists sometimes call this multi-system downregulation, a phrase that sounds clinical, but describes a feeling unmistakably human, the body sighing in relief. Fact 1 * post-float EEG shows increased theta-gamma coupling associated with memory consolidation. Fact 2 * declarative memory tasks improve modestly after sessions. Fact 3 * sleep quality scores rise. REM onset occurs sooner that night. Fact 4 * dream vividness reports increase, evidence of active neural reintegration. Fact 5 * long-term floaters display reduced startle reflex amplitude, sign of sustained parasympathetic tone. Memory, emotion, and physiology all synchronize in this rehearsal of equilibrium. Picture yourself again within that quiet. The air is warm, the water indistinguishable from your own skin. Thoughts drift by, not heavy anymore, just bubbles rising, bursting silently. Somewhere deep inside, cells repair, blood flows easily, hormones recalibrate. The scientist in you might list the data. The dreamer simply feels it. Both are true, because here, in the measured calm of flotation-rest, chemistry and consciousness meet. Every session begins the same way. A body lying on liquid, a mind confronted by silence. Yet what unfolds inside that silence is unique each time. The float tank is not simply equipment. It is a mirror that reflects without image. When sound, light, and gravity disappear, awareness has nothing external to grasp. It turns inward, meeting itself. That meeting, the quiet recognition of consciousness aware of being conscious, is the most fundamental observation a person can make. Philosophers have described this as pure presence. Neuroscientists map it as the reduction of default mode chatter. Both refer to the same event. The moment thought sees its own stillness. Look outward for a moment in imagination. The universe itself floats. Galaxies suspended in the gravitational sea of dark matter, planets orbiting in the void. Every star, every atom exists within vast silence. Flotation-rest is a miniature of that cosmic condition. The same physical constants that hold the Milky Way together, density, equilibrium, the cancellation of forces, repeat inside a few hundred liters of salted water. Archimedes' principle echoes gravitational balance. Thermodynamic neutrality mirrors the temperature of interstellar space where energy exchange approaches zero. To float is to participate for an hour in the pattern of the cosmos. Stillness is not nothingness. It is the default state of everything. When the brain no longer receives directional input, spatial mapping quiets, but activity does not vanish. It reorganizes into networks associated with spatial imagination and self-transcendent experience. Functional imaging shows mild activation of the temporal, parietal junction and precuneus, areas linked to perspective taking and the feeling of unity. This explains why many report sensations of infinite space, expansion, or merging with water. The body does not actually expand. Rather, its internal coordinate system becomes untethered. Consciousness fills the vacuum left by perception. To the scientist, this is cortical reallocation. To the floater, it is awe. Meditation traditions describe stillness cultivated through breath and posture. Flotation achieves similar states through environment rather than effort. EEG comparisons between long-term meditators and floaters show overlapping signatures: increased theta coherence, reduced beta noise, frontal midline synchronization. Yet floating requires no technique. Silence becomes the teacher. Meditators often say the mind is like a lake that must settle before reflecting the moon. Flotation accelerates that settling by removing the wind of sensation itself. In ordinary waking life, sensory input drives the brain's predictive machinery. Every second, it updates models of reality based on new data. In flotation, incoming data slow to almost nothing. The brain continues predicting, but with minimal correction. This creates a continuum of states between wake, meditation, and dream. Neuroscientists call it perceptual decoupling. Attention disengaged from external events, yet awareness intact. It is a space where imagination and perception intertwine. Understanding this continuum helps explain why floating can evoke both scientific insight and spiritual feeling. Both emerge from the same neural condition of reduced prediction error. Fact 1 * alpha, theta transitions stabilize after 15 minutes, producing waking dream EEG patterns. Fact 2 * connectivity between insula and default mode network decreases, correlating with feelings of unity. Fact 3 * post-float interviews record descriptions identical to those in long-term mindfulness retreats. Fact 4 * theta, gamma coupling increases, facilitating memory recombination and creative association. Fact 5 * subjective reports of boundless space occur in is almost equal to 70% of participants during 60-minute floats. Fact 6 * heart-brain coherence peaks during these reports, indicating synchronized autonomic and cortical rhythm. Each fact a single ripple in the data sea. Together they outline the science of transcendence. Stillness reveals a truth the body already knows. Effort is not required for existence. In daily life, survival and ambition keep muscles and neurons tense. In the tank, effort loses its object. The body breathes itself. The mind thinks less, listens more. This state is neuromuscular de-recruitment paired with cognitive defocusing. It feels like surrender, but physiologically it is efficiency, the organism conserving energy by ceasing unnecessary work. The paradox: by letting go, systems align. Metabolism drops, heart synchrony improves, attention widens. Across cultures, water symbolizes renewal. Religious texts describe purification, birth, or transcendence through immersion. Flotation inherits that symbolism but grounds it in biophysics. The body's salt concentration, roughly 0.9%, mirrors the salinity of ancient oceans, the cradle of multicellular life. To lie in saline water at body temperature is to return chemically to origin. This resonance may explain the deep emotional calm people feel. On a cellular level, every ion bathes again in the familiar chemistry of evolution. Science and myth touch hands in that recognition. Reduced stimulation is not deprivation. It is refinement. Noise removal allows the signal of consciousness to emerge. Psychologist Peter Sudfeld framed rest as an environment of optimized minimalism. By minimizing energy spent on external processing, the system reallocates resources inward to homeostatic repair and introspection. The same principle guides computational neuroscience. When input decreases, spontaneous pattern generation increases. Creativity, emotion, even sense of self are outputs of these endogenous patterns. Thus, silence is not emptiness. It is information distilled. Modern life inundates the senses with data far beyond what the nervous system evolved to handle. Chronic overstimulation keeps cortisol elevated, attention fragmented, empathy dulled. Flotation offers not escapism but calibration, a laboratory for the experience of enough. It teaches, wordlessly, the value of doing nothing thoroughly. In an age that measures worth by productivity, rest research quietly argues that regeneration is productive. Every sustained creative or emotional effort requires the alternating rhythm of withdrawal. Biology itself is cyclical. Every neuron that fires must later repolarize. Rest, then, is not luxury but law. Fact 1 * average adult attention span improves after a week of regular floats. Fact 2 * cortical thickness in the anterior cingulate attention control increases in habitual floaters. Fact 3 * post-float participants show higher altruism scores on standardized empathy scales. Fact 4 * sleep efficiency improves. Insomnia severity index scores drop. Fact 5 * workplace stress surveys reveal lasting reduction in burnout after corporate float programs. Fact 6 * environmental psychologists note parallels between float-induced calm and the restorative effect of natural silence. Calm is contagious. Each rested nervous system becomes part of a social ecosystem of patience. Consider the scale symmetry. Atoms vibrate, planets orbit, galaxies revolve. Between them stretches silence. Within your own body, electrons orbit atomic nuclei across watery cytoplasm. A microuniverse afloat in salt solution. The float tank aligns these scales. The cosmic rhythm and the cellular rhythm momentarily resonate. To scientists, this is poetic coincidence. To poets, it is evidence that science itself is poetry observed carefully. Current studies extend rest into clinical and cognitive neuroscience. Researchers test its influence on PTSD, addiction, neurorehabilitation. Early data suggest improved emotional regulation, fewer intrusive memories, and better body awareness in trauma survivors. By combining fMRI with physiological metrics, investigators map how specific neural circuits respond to sensory silence. The work is meticulous. Heart monitors, temperature probes, diffusion tensor imaging. Yet the subject remains timeless, how quiet changes the mind. Every dataset becomes another translation of stillness into numbers. And now, imagine yourself again in the dark water. Your outline blurs. The water no longer supports you because there is no you separate from it. Thoughts expand like ink, then fade. Even language, the mind's constant companion, grows transparent. There are no nouns here, only verbs of being. Floating, breathing, resting. Somewhere deep beneath the measurable, neurons pulse in slow synchrony. Above them, galaxies turn. Between the two, you hover, silent witness to the symmetry of scale. When the session ends and gravity returns, the perception of vastness condenses back into the boundaries of a human body. Yet memory retains the echo of expansion. This echo alters behavior subtly. Stressors seem smaller, patience longer, curiosity wider. It is the mark of neural plasticity, the brain adapting to a model of calm. Repeated exposure strengthens this pathway. Stillness becomes a learned state. That is perhaps the most profound outcome of flotation-REST. Not escape from the world, but re-entry with equilibrium intact. Imagine rising slowly from deep water, not yet breaking the surface, only drifting upward through clarity. That is what this part of the story is, the ascent from experiment back to understanding. Flotation-REST began as a question about consciousness, became a tool for physiology, and matured into a language of balance. Now, as we drift toward conclusion, the currents of data and experience merge. Each number, each image, each heartbeat of research points toward the same simple truth. The body and the mind know how to rest. They only need permission. Review the structure silently in your mind. First, the environment. Water saturated with magnesium sulfate, skin-neutral warmth, silence measured in decibels so low that instruments struggle to record it. Every component exists for one purpose, to reduce sensory input until the nervous system reaches equilibrium. Inside that equilibrium, the organism begins a predictable sequence. * muscle tone falls, * heart rate slows, * alpha and theta waves bloom, * cortisol declines, * endorphins rise. The cascade is measurable, repeatable, beautifully mundane. Science calls it parasympathetic dominance. Experience calls it peace. Flotation's lineage threads through decades. John C. Lilly's steel tank in 1954. Sudfeld's controlled studies in the 1970s. MRI laboratories in the 2010s measuring the quiet brain. Across that timeline, instruments changed, but the principle never did. Remove the world, and the mind reveals itself. What began as an audacious experiment in sensory deprivation evolved into a refined therapy for stress, pain, and creativity. Each generation of researchers added a lens. Together they built a full spectrum of calm. Summarize the data in soft focus. Asterisk cortisol down by 1/3. Asterisk blood pressure easing. Asterisk inflammatory markers subdued. Asterisk heart rate variability broadened. Asterisk muscles elongated fractionally under buoyancy. Asterisk pain thresholds lifted. Asterisk sleep deepened. Every figure tells the same story in different dialects of biology. When stimulation lessens, regulation returns. The body, freed from constant negotiation with gravity and noise, relearns efficiency. Even after leaving the tank, residual coherence persists, hours, sometimes days. This lingering effect is not mystical. It is homeostasis catching its breath. Psychology adds its voice. Anxiety indexes fall, depression scores lighten, cognitive flexibility widens. The default mode network quiets. The insula softens. Self-referential thought loosens its grip. People describe clarity, emotional balance, subtle joy. These are subjective reports, yet they align perfectly with objective recordings. E.g., fMRI, hormonal assays all sing the same lullaby. Science and experience harmonize in the key of calm. Let the main points drift past once more. Fact 1 asterisk within 10 minutes, alpha wave power rises sharply. Fact 2 asterisk cortisol and blood pressure fall measurably. Fact 3 asterisk EEG patterns approach meditative coherence. Fact 4 asterisk creativity and divergent thinking scores increase post-float. Fact 5 asterisk pain and fatigue decrease across clinical conditions. Fact 6 asterisk mood elevation persists 24 to 48 hours. Fact 7 asterisk regular floaters exhibit durable parasympathetic tone. Each fact is a note. Together they form the melody of rest. At the smallest scale, ions cross membranes differently in quiet. At the largest, consciousness reorganizes its narrative. The same physics of buoyancy that lifts the body lifts the mind's weight of urgency. In this alignment of scales, molecular, physiological, psychological, lies the beauty of the method. Nothing supernatural, only natural processes given space to perform their ancient choreography. Silence is not the opposite of sound. It is the medium that allows sound to be heard. In the same way, rest is not the opposite of activity. It is the context that makes action coherent. When external input ceases, intrinsic order emerges. Neurons fire in synchrony, hormones flow in rhythm, thoughts align. The brain, once overwhelmed by the city of its own sensations, becomes a countryside again. Open fields of calm neural oscillation. This is the hidden function of silence. Organization through reduction. Consider again the chemistry of the tank. Warm saline water, darkness, suspension. It echoes two environments in our history, the ocean of our origin and the amniotic sea of the womb. Evolution left the memory of floating in every cell. Perhaps that is why the experience feels not new but remembered. From an evolutionary perspective, flotation-REST recreates optimal safety conditions. Neutral temperature, absence of threat, predictability. The nervous system interprets this as perfect homeostasis and activates repair. In that sense, floating is a conversation between biology and ancestry. When sessions end, the challenge begins, carrying stillness outward. Repeated exposure trains the nervous system to enter parasympathetic states more readily even outside the tank. It is measurable adaptation, reduced startle response, faster cortisol recovery, improved emotional regulation. Applied to daily life, this becomes the science of resilience, the ability to return to baseline after disruption. The tank is not escape, it is rehearsal. And now, picture the final minutes of a session. Somewhere above, a faint light glows. Water and body are one. Then slowly the boundary reforms. Fingers feel cool air. Ears sense distant sound. The world, patient and unchanged, waits quietly at the surface. You open the lid. Light floods in, not harsh but golden. For a heartbeat you pause, half in silence, half in sound, and realize that calm can follow you outward. Gather the 8 currents of understanding. 1. Physics, buoyancy, temperature, equilibrium, sensory reduction. 2. Neuroscience, alpha, theta rhythms, DMN quieting. 3. Endocrinology, cortisol down, endorphins up. 4. Immunology, inflammation reduced. 5. Psychology, anxiety eased, creativity raised. 6. History, from Lily's chamber to global wellness. 7. Philosophy, stillness as awareness, not absence. 8. Application, resilience, sleep, empathy, balance. Together they complete the circle. Science explaining serenity. At this stage of the narrative, nothing new must be learned. What matters is felt integration. The mind has followed data down through depth and is rising slowly through comprehension. That upward drift is learning itself, the brain encoding calm as knowledge. Every study cited, every waveform recorded, every quiet heartbeat contributes to a collective understanding. The measurable and the meaningful are not opposites. If you have followed these hours of gentle science, notice how your own attention feels now. Steady, slower, perhaps softer around the edges. That shift is the phenomenon described, parasympathetic resonance through imagination alone. Even thinking about stillness begins the physiology of rest. This demonstrates a final principle. Anticipatory relaxation. The nervous system responds to remembered calm as though it were present. Thus, knowledge of rest becomes a kind of rest itself. Soon we will close completely, but not yet. Let one more image remain. A drop of saline water on skin, evaporating slowly, leaving faint crystalline traces. Those tiny crystals contain magnesium ions that once held you afloat. They are the residue of equilibrium, the data of serenity condensed into matter. Science might call them precipitate. You might call them reminder. The data are complete. Numbers rest on charts, the graphs curve toward equilibrium. Somewhere in a laboratory, a monitor hums softly, showing a line of slow heartbeats. Every measure says the same thing. The system has returned to baseline. But beyond the instruments, the meaning lingers. A person, somewhere, floats again. Eyes closed, body balanced, mind unburdened. Science has finished describing. Now it only listens. When you leave the tank, gravity greets you like an old friend. The soles of your feet rediscover weight. Blood redistributes. The vestibular system recalibrates. Yet inside, the chemistry of calm persists. Cortisol remains low, vagal tone high. The heart continues its smooth variability, a quiet signature of safety. This lingering is called after-rest effect, the physiology of equilibrium extending beyond the stimulus. It is the body remembering stillness, as if the water were still holding it invisibly. In the hours after floating, thoughts move differently. They travel slower, like birds gliding rather than flapping. Neural activity, once noisy, retains coherence. Psychologists call it cognitive quieting, the persistence of lower beta activity and heightened alpha synchronization. It correlates with clarity, focus, and mood stabilization. You might notice decisions forming more gently, emotions arising with less urgency. It is not passivity. It is precision born of calm. Step outside. Sunlight touches your eyes, carrying billions of photons. Every one of them is data, rushing once again into the open channels of perception. Yet something within you filters them differently. Floatation-REST teaches the nervous system a new baseline. The external world returns, but the internal noise remains muted. You stand between stimulus and response, and find space, measurable milliseconds of grace, before reaction. That space is the miracle. Small, repeatable, entirely physiological. Fact 1 * cortisol normalization persists up to 24H post-float. Fact 2 * HRV coherence remains elevated for 12 to 18H. Fact 3 * EG alpha power stays above baseline for several hours. Fact 4 * sleep efficiency increases the following night. Fact 5 * self-reported calm remains significantly higher at 48H. 5 small data points, 5 footprints in the sand after leaving the sea. Long-term floaters speak of integration not as memory but as migration. Calm migrates outward, from session to routine, from body to relationships. It becomes behavioral physiology. Slower speech, deeper breath, clearer empathy. Sociologists studying wellness habits note a phenomenon they call rest contagion. One person's regulated nervous system subtly calming those nearby through tone, pace, and facial expression. The science of silence becomes social biology. Every discipline eventually discovers humility before its subject. Astronomy meets infinity, biology meets complexity, physics meets uncertainty. Flotation science meets silence. In that encounter, measurement continues but meaning softens. Stillness teaches by example that equilibrium is dynamic, not frozen. That quiet is full, not empty. That awareness does not need adornment. The lesson extends beyond the tank, into every pause, every breath, every deliberate act of rest. And now, let the instruments fade. Imagine the lab lights dimming, the hum of equipment slowing to nothing. Picture a tank somewhere in the dark, its water utterly still. Above it, night. Around it, silence. Inside, the trace memory of your heartbeat, echoing through salt water and time. Let it settle. Let it all settle. In 8 tiers, we have descended and risen again. From curiosity to data, from data to experience, from experience back to wonder. The arc forms a circle, like the endless surface of water closing after movement. What began as a question, what happens when the world is turned off, has become an answer both measurable and poetic. When stimulation decreases, order increases. When effort ceases, coherence appears. If science has prayers, they are hypotheses. If prayers have data, they are replications. Floatation-REST has provided both reproducible peace. Across decades and continents, results converge. The human organism thrives when granted intervals of near-zero input. This is not escape from reality. It is alignment with it. Every cell, every neuron, every ion finds balance in oscillation and rest. Let that recognition itself be the closing experiment. Picture a horizon of water at dawn. Mist rises. Color returns slowly to the world. Somewhere beneath that surface, magnesium crystals shimmer, the same that once lifted a human body towards stillness. Above, clouds drift, each a slow wave of vapor. Below, the ocean breathes, Between them, the scientific story is finished, but the experience continues in every calm heartbeat that follows. And now, breathe once more. Inhale through the calm you have built. Exhale through everything you no longer need to measure. Let the breath lengthen. Let the numbers rest. Imagine the surface closing over the place where you floated, a small ripple fading into perfect smoothness. No sound, no data, only equilibrium. The world still moves, but within it you remain balanced, a quiet constant amid variables. Let the last words dissolve the way salt dissolves in warm water, leaving clarity, not absence. Float, rest, be.